people can explain it to you. You can read books, you can hear people in a podcast or whatever, but
Yeah.
really you're not going to learn it until you're doing it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Making Magic. I'm Shaun J, your host, and I'm a professional magician, speaker, and 3D designer. And this is all about inspiring conversations with the movers, the shakers, the visionaries, and the makers. The wizards behind the curtain that make the magic for you. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us here at the channel, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this stuff. I work very hard to put this show together, and it really means a lot to me that you have chosen to spend some of your precious time watching the show or listening to the show on Spotify or one of the other podcast apps. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. You know what to do. Click that red button, give this video a like, a thumbs up, turn on the notification bells. Every little bit helps. The more you support the show, the more support you show me, the better future shows will be. You know how it goes. So every little bit of support is greatly appreciated. Now, my next guest performs wonders without hands and travels the world without feet. David Blaine calls him my inspiration. Over 700 million people in 26 different countries have been mesmerized by his magic. He's been featured on fantastic shows like Penn and Teller's Fool Us, The Amazing Magicians, Star King, and a host of other global TV shows. He plays the hand that he was dealt, quite well actually, and is here with you now, is here with us now, to share with you his take on the topic of creativity, his radically different take. And I hope you enjoy my interview with my friend, Mahdi Gilbert. Hey Mahdi, how's it going? Welcome to Making Magic.
Hey Shaun, how are you?
Great. Thanks for agreeing to be on the show. I think our listeners and viewers will have a lot that they can be inspired from in this one.
Awesome.
So I'm not sure how much or how little you know about this show, but the show is all about interviewing the movers, the shakers, the visionaries, and the makers. And I've been focusing a lot on creative people and people that have made things on their own, like props or other things like that. So I know you definitely fit into several of those categories. You have your own deck of cards, and you are, self-reliance is your middle name, pretty much, right?
Well, I try, I find that the less you rely on other people, the less disappointed you are generally. So
Yeah.
it's probably just out of, learning from those experiences that I like, oh, I want to do stuff by myself. And I think it's always important to get help from people when you need help, but generally, the less help you need, the better position you're in a lot of cases.
I agree.
Because it really, and I think it goes with everything that we're living in this modern world. Help is expensive. So, really, depending on what you're getting help on, it could potentially cost you a lot of money. So, depending on exactly what you're doing, knowing how to do things on your own is great, and knowing who to talk to is great. So, right before this, I was talking to a TV producer, and we're talking about doing an episode of a TV show. And I was giving them some of my ideas for the show, which was bigger magic than I usually do. Uh, None of the stuff I have ever made, I cannot make it on my own. And nor would I want to try to make it on my own because I don't have the skill set for it. I'm not a welder. I'm not a carpenter. I'm not, I don't work with materials in that way.
Sure.
But the great thing is, I know a lot of great people who either know how to or who can put me in touch with the right people who can, figure out stuff, and we can figure out a pricing and work with the TV show and their budget and, work something out. So I think it's great to team up with people, but I think no matter whether you're working alone or whether you're working with other people, just generally the more wisdom that you can come with as early on as possible, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that's a perfect segue kind of into, and maybe I already said it, if you have in your mind, I always like to open the show with a story of my guest sharing the first thing that they've ever made or perhaps invented. And it could be good or bad, and funny stories are always welcome. So I know you might not be a welder or those skills, but I know you've made some stuff.
Well, I had an idea for a wallet. I'm a big fan of magic wallets. They're always made questionably, I find, in a lot of cases. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Either they look like garbage, like it's like,
it's that
is this
big.
leather? Is it leather? Is it plastic? What is this? Anyways, I had this idea for a wallet, which was and it was a switching wallet. You could switch an object in, and I thought the design was quite clever. It had,
without going too deep into methods. Sorry.
Without revealing it, it used magnets, and it was very intelligently designed. So I didn't have any money, and I didn't really know too much. This was when I was first getting into magic. Okay. And I made a concept version of it out of cardboard with an explanation and everything. I sent it to a magician who I had seen online, and he was making products and stuff. And he gave me a lot of great compliments, and he, that was it, and it never went anywhere. But the idea has been brewing in my head, like, oh, would I actually use this? Now, when I look back at it, years later, I'm like, this is an okay idea. I don't know if I would use it, but I like the idea of having a prop that you can actually use for magic that's not weird. And so that's what I'm generally looking for outside of a show. If we're talking about impromptu stuff, I'm very interested in things that have to do with coins, regular coins, pennies, dimes, small quarters, small coins that everybody use. I really love what people have made with that, because that's something that you would actually use at a bar, at a restaurant. But I also love bigger type illusions and props. I just think I think you need to understand where things fit in.
Sure.
And and also how to actually have it get an impact, because also with a lot of these props, whether it's a coin that you're using for magic, or whether it's a big $20,000 prop on stage, if you don't use it correctly, it's worthless. Doesn't matter how much or how little you paid for it. It's absolutely worthless. And I've seen big illusion type people do big stuff on stage that have zero impact. You're just watching it and you're like, oh, okay. It's like, how much did this cost? Yeah, it cost $25,000.
That's a nice piece of furniture.
No, but seriously, so I'm a big fan of all this stuff. I think I'm just very critical of what the experience is for people, and I love seeing magic shows with regular people. I love to hear what regular people think. I never say anything. I never comment. I just love to hear.
Well, you're a rare breed, you with your level of, I would say, I don't know, you've got a sense of perfectionism about you. You've got a very high ideals and standards that you like to go by, and that's why you have been able to accomplish those amazing things that you've done in your career. So,
Yeah, I think that's all important. I think though at the end of the day, you have to be willing to have your feet in the dirt and really uh really just try things out and work on stuff and be willing to fail. Be willing to take risks and yeah, accept the consequences with courage. I think is a big thing that everybody, I talk to so many magicians who even have a basic goal. Their goal is, I want to do a set or I want to do a show. And then what happens? They talk about this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. There's people who literally talk about, I want to do a show. They've been saying the same thing for 20 years. Just do
yeah,
a show. Guess what? The show that you do doesn't matter if it takes you 20 years to do it.
yeah,
It's not going to be your greatest show. You're going to do
nope.
the show. You're going to look at it. You're going to realize, wow, this piece that I thought was great either is going to be removed completely or has to go back to the drawing board. And it's like, just just do it and see what happens. So I think it's important to have taste, to have ideals, but at the same time, you kind of have to just do things and not be afraid of the consequences.
Right, like the best time, I said plime, the best time, man, it's been a long day and it's not even the evening yet. Best
I
time
feel
to
you.
plant a tree is now, right? It's just put the seed in, do something with it. It's like carrying around a bag of seeds in a sealed package and expecting your plants to grow out of the ground. It's never going to happen, ever.
Yeah, and I think uh, you look at a guy like Ricky Jay, who was an incredible magician. When you look at Ricky Jay and when he first did his big one-man show and stuff, he was quite old. I mean, he was not old, but he was not, he was not a young guy.
No
He
spring
had
chicken.
been no, he had been doing magic for a while and he had a reputation. He was writing stuff. But then you look at that and you think, what would have happened if Ricky Jay just bit the bullet and he was doing his own big one-man show 20 years before that? How many more great shows would he have done in his life? I think all the shows Ricky Jay did were more or less excellent, but we all have a limited lifespan. So I think
Sure.
in terms of practicality, do as much as you can when you can, and things will get better. You'll get better. Don't wait. Don't wait 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Just do it. And okay, you want to do a show, put a show together, write the script, put the music together, put the tricks together, rent a theater or find a venue, whatever, it doesn't matter. Probably not going to be a huge success the first show that you do. Rent a theater, cost you a few $100, whatever. Invite everybody you know, do the show. Guess what? You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn more in the few months
Oh,
of
yeah.
experience than you'll learn in 20 years of just thinking about it at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Yes.
And you'll go home, you'll have an interesting feeling after.
Feel a lot worse than when you started.
You'll have an interesting feeling, but you'll that's part of the experience of growing, of doing something. You're like, okay, I understand a lot more, and okay, how can I work with this? How can I, actually make it better?
Getting uncomfortable very soon rather than hiding away from it, shying away from it. Going back to that wallet thing, I wanted to continue with that. Was there a particular reason why you made that wallet? And I think
No,
you mentioned it. You were just unsatisfied with everything prior.
no, I just think, when you're young in magic, you think that you're coming up with new ideas. And it was a fairly unique idea, but now that I know more about wallets, there's a lot of similar type things. But it's funny when you're new in magic for the first few years, you'll have ideas for routines or card tricks or gimmicks, and you'll think, "Wow, this is amazing." And then it's already been done. And it's funny, a lot of these people in magic are not very well read and I think some of these people at the companies aren't well read, but a lot of times you'll see releases of magic tricks, and it's like, and it'll be released, and then 2 weeks later they'll be like, well, actually,
Oops.
in 1954, in this magazine, there was a very similar trick or the same trick or whatever. And it's just funny, but you know,
It is.
it's very hard to create new stuff. So I think uh, I had an idea. It was sort of unique. It's not fully unique. At the end of the day, I realize it's not something I really need. Or so, but you're young, you have ideas, you want to try stuff, whatever.
Okay. And was there anything specific that you learned from making it? Was it that we assume that we have good ideas
Well,
early on?
I didn't make it. I made like a mock-up of cardboard.
Okay.
So I never made a working version of it. But even if I had a working version of it, to be quite honest, I never carry a real wallet with me in real life, so it's not something I would ever use. But I think as a magician, you think, what do people carry with them? What can I use? And I think it's interesting the choices that we have to make as to what we're going to use when we're performing in different settings. I think some stuff fits us, some stuff doesn't fit us, but that's all stuff that we discover in age. And probably the same thing happened to you that happened to me. A lot of the stuff that I performed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, are completely gone out of my repertoire. And it's not even because the trick was bad or whatever. It's just I'm past it. I'm over it. I'm doing different stuff.
Okay. So I would summarize that what you took from that is you learned that it's not it's not practical for you. You went through the process of making it, and it's just not something.
Sometimes things can be practical, but they just don't fit you stylistically.
Doesn't fit you at all. Okay, gotcha. You're just not the guy to carry around a wallet, so it doesn't fit you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to wallets. I'm actually going to be doing something in the future with a card case. I like the idea of a card case because it's quite interesting for me. I like the idea of having a little card case and opening it up, and there's a single card inside, and that's used in a show as a prediction or something like that. I think that's very interesting. You have a beautiful card case. You take it out. There's one card inside. It gives it importance. But again, for me, I think about the materials, the idea of you're carrying this in your pocket. It clearly is important. I think it would have less importance if you had 20 things in your pockets that you take out during your set and you're using, you have a rope and you have this and your pockets are full of stuff. But if you only have a card case in your pocket, you take it out and there's a single card inside and you use that for one routine. And I think it can give it importance. So these are all stylistic things, taste things, but it's just something that as you grow, you have sensitivity to.
Got it. Personal preference changes over time, and then learn to listen to that preference and adapt accordingly, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. So knowing what you know right now, and both of us aren't really old guys at this point. We're still young.
Oh, man, I'm getting there. We're getting there.
How old are you?
31.
You're 30? Okay, so you're a year older than me. I just turned 30. So, yeah, it feels weird to leave your 20s behind, doesn't it?
I don't know. For me, no. Yes and no. I think there was a bigger shift than in the first half of my 20s than the second half. And I see my friends getting older, and I think it's just natural to always compare yourself with other people. Like, oh,
Sure.
how old was this person when they did this in their career? How old was this person? You think,
Yeah.
oh, how old am I? What did I do? Like you're always having those little like mile markers in your head, even though it's something we shouldn't do. It's just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's natural. It comes natural. Okay, so what you know now, knowing what you know based on your life experiences, because you've traveled all different places of the world and done things of that nature, is there anything that you wish you would have told your younger self
Yes,
to prevent making the mistakes?
charge more money. No, that is a serious thing I would tell myself. It's a joke, but it's also serious.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think, what would I tell myself? Uh, I would tell myself to just do more things more quickly. And I think there's so much in life that you have to learn by making those mistakes and to have those experiences and realize, like, if, whether it's doing a real show or a TV show or, any type of thing, you learn so much when you're doing it. And by the time, and I've know, how many times have you done TV now? You've done TV a few times.
National TV, I've done total of 4 times.
Okay, so the fourth time, you went into it with a lot different feeling than your
Oh,
first time, correct?
oh yeah.
So I think it's one of those things where it's, just do as much as you can, get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Once you've done it, you have so much more experience. You just have a totally different psychological approach. And also you understand the consequences and the goals of doing something. And how to leverage it and all these things. People can explain it to you. You can read books, you can hear people in a podcast or whatever, but
Yeah.
really you're not going to learn it until you're doing it.
You physically jump in rather than just thinking about it and keep spinning the wheels, right?
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I would
100%.
say just do more. Just take every opportunity that people offer you. Don't have the mindset of I'm not ready for this. Make yourself ready.
You use the deadline or whatever it is, the agreement to get yourself ready because at that point you have to. There's no playing around anymore.
Yeah, and one of the things that you don't realize when if you don't take opportunities, you lose opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a balancing act of
Hmm.
jumping on opportunities when they're offered to you, when the interest is hot, and being ready. I think you should always get yourself ready in the confines of that timeline. Um, because if you don't, then you're either going to do a bad job or you're going to say no, and you're going to not have that opportunity. But I think overall, almost in every instance, it's better to take the opportunity and to work at becoming better. And when you do have those opportunities, the things that you'll have from them are things that you're going to use for the rest of your career. Let's say you're doing a TV show and they want to have a totally new piece of magic from you.
Mm-hmm.
You design that TV, that act, that's probably an act that's going to go into your live show.
Hopefully,
Or,
unless it's
yeah,
incredibly unrealistic. It only works for one little tiny Facebook frame.
it depends.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's something that you can use. Or
Sure.
whether somebody, says, let's say you have a 45-minute show and somebody tells you, I need an hour. All of a sudden you have to come up with an extra 15 minutes.
Sure.
I think in most cases, it's a good idea to say yes and to use that time to prepare an extra 15 minutes. And that 15 minutes, whatever you put in there, has a high potential of either developing into a separate set or into a part of, a piece of magic that you'll use for the rest of your career. Not every time, obviously, but it has a potential.
And I would just add to that, if you agree to that, yes, you better deliver. you have to deliver something within that time frame because they're expecting it, right?
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
client, they'll come to you and say, "Look, this is what we need." And, your job as a professional is to
Deliver the goods.
deliver, and I think everybody can do it more or less. And if you I think that's just part of being a professional, being able to deliver, and you just get better at it.
Yes.
So, sometimes you're put in difficult situations. Okay, let's make it work, and
Yes.
you figure it out and you go.
Some people get a reputation for over-promising and under-delivering. That's all I'm going to say. As your point is, if you actually want to be a professional, then you just follow through with what you say.
Don't never promise something that you can't do. That is not what I'm advocating when I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I'm saying when you have an opportunity and you can fulfill the obligation that's presented to you,
Yeah.
if you can, do it. But don't lie to people and say,
Sure.
"Oh, I'm gonna do this," and I mean, it has to be something that you can do.
Of
Uh,
course.
so, yeah, don't lie to people. It won't. It's not gonna. And I know people like that who have in magic who have said, yeah, I can do this, I can do this, and then you realize they don't have the technical skills to do what they're talking about. They're like, yeah, I'll build this. They can't do it, and it's
Well,
like, okay, why did you tell us this? Like, it's a
right.
waste of everybody's time. But don't put yourself in a situation like that. But I'm just saying generally, the requests that you're going to get are not going. Like sometimes you get a request that's just not a good idea. Like so you'll get requested by a company. Oh, hey, we want to make, we want to make the CEO vanish, or we want to do this. It's like, okay, you say okay, you better know how to make that CEO vanish.
You better.
Like,
Yeah,
don't say yes and then, oh, okay, let me go through my books now. How can I make a person vanish on stage? Like, you better have some idea of what you're getting into.
it's not
Like,
going to end well. Let's just say that.
exactly. Because, it costs money, it costs time, you have to know what you're doing.
Got it. Got it.
And if it is beyond you, let's say somebody asked me, I've never been asked to make a CEO vanish. If somebody were to honestly ask me, can you make the CEO vanish? Here's what I would do. This is real. I would say, give me 2 weeks to really think about it and get back to you because I want to think about if this is possible, how much it would cost, and I want to really be able to see if we can do something proper. What I would do once I get off that phone call, I would call different illusionists that I know. I would call different illusion designers. I would talk to them about what the situation is, what the venue's like. I say, look, I've never done anything like this. This person wants this. How much would it cost? How complicated is this? How many people do I need working on this at the event? There's a lot logistically to work out. Once
Sure.
I have the information and I have a method and I have a price of how much this would cost and I know all the details, then I would go back to the client and I would say, look, this is what you asked for. This is what I'm proposing. And I would lay out everything for them. This is how we would do it. This is how much it's going to cost. This is what's involved. Do you want to go ahead? And I will devote the time to working on creating this special piece of magic for you. I think to be honest, that would be the best way to approach it. If you are approached with something that you're totally not comfortable with, but somebody's really asking because you're a magician, they want you to be able to do anything, right?
Sure.
So I think it also sucks to just say no, I can't do it. But there is a way to intelligently approach that problem and not just spew you know a fake answer to them that's going to disappoint them.
Approaching things properly and approaching things in a logical way, step by step, rather than just yes or no, and then yes with a lie attached to it, or no. It's just cut to the chase and try to help the client as best as you can. But if you just, after doing your research, you see it's not realistic or not feasible, then you got to be upfront because
Exactly. And if I don't know, I'm never going to say yes. If I don't know, I'm never going to say yes. I would tell them I would be honest with them. I've never actually done what you're asking me to do. I know other people who do this regularly. They're very good friends of mine. I can find out exactly how we can make this work, but I need some time. And I would be honest, and I honestly, I think that is the best way to do things.
Yep. That's what I like about you, Mahdi, is that you are brutally honest. Like no holding back with you. It's just like you cut right to the chase. That's what I like.
You
Stop
can't
wasting
lie
time.
to your client, man. You just can't do it.
No.
You have to be honest with the client. You have to be honest with people generally in business.
Well, even just on a personal level, that you're just brutally honest with everything, and it's not a
Uh, I try. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty nice guy. I think I I don't know. I'm not very honest sometimes.
okay.
I find a lot of people don't want advice or feedback or real thoughts on things. So, people will send me videos all the time. Oh, hey, I look up to you. You're a magician. What do you think of
Gotcha.
this? They'll send me a video, and I'll if I have time, I'll watch it, and I watch a lot, and I'll always give them a compliment. I'll give them advice. Um, but I'm not out to you know, destroy somebody who's looking for feedback. I'll give them advice, and I do find that people who do want real advice will take a different approach in asking for advice and asking for help. So I think you have to respond to people with the way that they approach you in mind.
Yes. One approach requires a different response,
Yeah.
or a certain response, and it's not that you're technically being dishonest per se. It's kind of like having good manners when you're at your mom's house and she makes something that you don't like. You're not going to say, "Hey, mom, this sucks. You're a terrible cook."
Yeah.
No, you
Your
eat
mom
it.
asks you, "What do you think of this recipe?" "Oh, it's pretty good."
You eat it. You
Really,
just
you're
eat
just
it.
like, So,
You eat
what
it
are
and
you
move
gonna,
on.
what are you gonna do? Throw the plate and say, "Mom, this is garbage. Get this out of here. Like, I'm not finishing this."
You should
No,
get out the kitchen. Boom! Just throw it out the window.
no, I think you have to try to be graceful
Right.
with people. Um, but I do think though you also have to. Sometimes people do need something tougher. One thing I don't like is when magicians don't know what they're doing and they're putting people in danger. I've seen people hurt people, audience members with the Russian roulette
That's
routine.
insane. That's just so wrong on so many levels. Just to put an un it's like animal abuse. It's like elder abuse. It's like you just don't they're totally innocent. They have no idea and they're trusting you.
No, it's supposed to be a show. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. But that's a rare thing. But I don't know. Generally, I think just respond to people, use your brain, and you'll be okay.
Easier said than done for some people, and you know what I mean. Some people don't have a good habit of using their brain. Their mouth talks faster than their brain synapses fire.
Yeah, I find the older I get, the quieter I get.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
started out life being very quiet, and then I got louder and louder as I grew up. And then you just realize that, um, there's a great quote by Lao Tzu, and in his writing, he writes that all action is motivated by illusion. And I find that a lot of the conflicts that we have and the actions that we take towards these conflicts in life and in magic are motivated by an illusion. And that illusion is that we can change something, or that we have to change something. Uh, but I think at the end of the day, everything is going to work out.
So we got a little
That's
loud too.
my
We got a little
that's
Bob
my
Marley.
Zen.
You sound like Bob Marley now. Everything's gonna be all right. Boom, boom.
That is my Zen wisdom for the day.
Don't worry. Be happy. It'll all work out. It's not. I think he also said it's not the. It's not the spokes that make a wheel useful, but the spaces in between the spokes.
Yeah, that's a little too high level for me, but
Okay. Well, moving on. Uh, Tell us about something. Yeah, the philosophy podcast. That I'll let somebody else do that. Something that you have recently made, because you are making things like not building grand illusions, but I know like you've made your hidden leaves playing cards, right?
yeah. Making playing cards is really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't realized, they are, and you need to print a certain amount of cards, and it's just really a tough thing to do. But one of the things I would like to do is, and I don't know when it's going to happen. It costs money, and it's such a small market for it, to be honest. But I want to make a really nice gaff deck with all gimmick cards that I can use, and these are going to have different gimmicks that we use in card magic. But this is all going to be tailored towards my magic and routines I personally want to do, and if somebody else wants to do them,
Hmm.
it's gonna have interesting stuff. Like, if you look at the old Hofstadter book, it'll have all the Hofstadter gimmicks, so you can do the card magic directly out of Hofstadter. You'll have it if you read the book. You'll be able to do the routines. You'll have the gimmicks. That is something that I would like to do. We'll see. I mean, as I said, logistically, it's challenging. But as I was saying at the very beginning of this, working with TV shows and they have different budgets and stuff, there are bigger things that I would like to do, and hopefully I can get the financing in place, and then really just work with great people who can help put these props together, and they can be presented in front of people. I think that would be wonderful. And I'm not a prop builder. I have ideas to improve certain illusions, which I don't want to get into because I don't want to give anything away. But just things that would be very interesting, I think, to spice up an illusion that everybody has seen more or less. But just to do it, if you've ever seen, I think it's P.T. Selbit, or who's the other guy? P.T. Selbit. There was another guy who did the Song and Health. Was it Golden?
Horace Golden.
I think it was P.T. Selbit and Golden.
That sounds about right. I know one of Golden, I believe, made all of this weird, complicated apparatus, like this really mechanical stuff. Correct?
Yeah. Anyways, I
Yeah.
forget which one of them it is, but I saw an old photograph of one of them performing this. The song "Woman in Health" illusion, or today would be "Song a Person in Health."
Him,
But
her,
the
she,
song "A Person," a human.
a human body in half.
But it would so no, but I saw a photo of this and it was really beautiful. It wasn't like nowadays you see it and the box looks it's weird. And then the magician comes out, he takes out these two aluminum sheets of metal, he bangs them together. You're thinking, is this it's too light to be heavy metal. Like the way that he's banging around like a cymbal. You're thinking, what the heck is this? Is this Coke can material? What is this? It's shiny. It's not sharp. You don't even have the thought that it's sharp. They place it into a pre-cut slot and then they pull the boxes apart, and that's the illusion. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
The
That's how
way
the
you
illusion.
describe it is just so lackluster. That's why I'm
Well,
laughing.
that's how it is. That's people's experience of it. Seriously, that's my experience of it.
I, I could tell that it's definitely your favorite thing to perform in your show. You always carry around a Selbit sawing.
No, but if you see this old photograph of this guy doing it, it's beautiful. The box is wooden. It looks
Yes.
like a wooden crate or something. It's a rectangular box. It doesn't have any opening. You can't see the head. You can't see the feet. He has a saw.
An
He's sawing through the
actual real
box.
saw.
And you know what happens when you saw wood? There's dust.
Yeah,
There's
shavings.
shavings that come off. You see it in the photograph, and you're like, "Wow, he's really sawing through it." There's not a pre, like, there's not a little slot. No, he's sawing through it. Yeah, it does take time. Even though the box is closed, you can't see the, uh, you can't see the head, you can't see the feet. Usually in the modern versions, you see the head, the
Sure.
feet. Even though you can't see that, I think overall the sensation is more magical. I can't.
A lot more suspense too, because you can't see anything outside of a real saw cutting through real wood and all these shavings going everywhere. So you're just wondering what's going on to the person in the box.
Yeah, but I just, for me, that's really interesting. Just the idea of actually cutting the wood. I think more illusions, people who work with illusions should take that into account. I think it's okay to make a mess in your show if you're doing something like that.
It has
If you're
purpose.
if you're cutting somebody in half, the stage should, if you're cutting a box in half, it is very weird that you're coming out with this fake metal blades, and you're just shoving it in. There's no cutting. You shove it into a slot, and then you're moving the box, and there's buttons on the box as well. So you're like clicking it to unlock. Look, man, I I don't want to disparage people's illusions, but it's like,
Putting
what is?
illusion builders out of business right here on the
No, no, I'm not.
podcast,
I'm
man.
not.
I know, I know.
I want them.
You're
No, I
sharing your
want people to
thoughts.
do better illusions.
Sure.
I really think if illusions were better, people would go see more illusion shows. I think there is a reason why people go to Las Vegas to see David Copperfield. David Copperfield does great illusions in a show. He spends a lot of money. There's a lot of thought that, and yeah, he does use some of what I'm talking about, the little blades. He has historically, if you look at the old shows and stuff, yeah, okay, because that's what's being made. But the point is, you can also work on stuff and have a vision and have a higher ideal. And, if this is something you're going to be doing for your living and you're going to be doing in a show, uh, I think, to be honest, it would be worth doing one such illusion that is really a masterpiece. Yeah, it takes longer to set up, it takes longer to clean up. Maybe it's more expensive to do, but I think doing one of those illusions might be better than doing 10 of those very quickly and less powerfully. And same goes with the metamorphosis, uh, I don't want to just list through all the illusions. The zigzag illusion. How many times you see the zigzag illusion? And it's a very it can be amazing. It can be very lackluster. I think it's like card tricks. Do you want to just rush through a set and have no impact, or do you want everything that you do with the cards to have some sort of resonance with the audience?
Right.
I just think we need to really think about what we're doing. And think about every single piece in that, just really think about what it is we're doing for people.
I agree. I agree. And a lot of things just fly by without thought just because that's the way it has been done for years and years and years, therefore that's the standard. And what I like about you is you're always looking at things that are industry standard per se, and then you go, well, wait a minute, why is that industry standard? Maybe we can make it better. Maybe we can change it. Who was it that said this is the way that it has to be all the time?
Well, I think what happened in magic is there's an idealized version of the effect. What I like to call the spirit of the effect, the perfect vision of what the effect could be.
Mm-hmm.
This is the version that you see in the old magic posters. Maybe that version of the trick looks nothing like what it is on stage, but that's the idea of the effect. I think in real life, the closer that we move to that image, that picture perfect image that everybody has in their imagination of the levitation. Wow, somebody's lifting up in the air. I think the closer we can get to creating that feeling, the better. I think it's very easy. And I think what happens in magic is there's great effects, and then they become popular, and then they become diluted, and you just see weaker and weaker versions. And I think, I'll use the levitation, great example. It can be a beautiful, powerful, subtle. It can be incredible. It can also be horrible. I've seen magic shows where you see a levitation and the audience feels nothing. And you can also see the very same trick, same method, with a totally different presentation, totally different approach. And it's a miracle for the audience. People have goosebumps, their hearts are fluttering. So I don't know. I think we just have to really think about what we're doing for people.
Sure. A lot of people just gloss over stuff and they don't give it as much thought as it deserves. And what we do is an art, and a lot of people forget that, and they take the art out of it. Well, I mean, some people, like I talked with Franz Harari and Mario, we talked about just their driving reasons behind why they're original, and I think that's important. But some people, they do our profession just to make money, and they're okay with using the standard stuff, and that's okay. Is
that even a real thing? Can people make money in magic? That exist?
Prior to 2020, maybe. You know what I mean. It's kind of like anybody can learn from books and learn the standard things and then go out and make a living doing it, whereas there are a certain smaller percentage of innovators that don't even want to go by the book, and they just want to create their own book.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you want. Look, you can learn how to do anything. You can learn how to literally do anything and make money with it. But the point is, it's like, you have a passion, do you have an interest? I don't know. What do people want to do with their lives? I would say, if you want to make money, if you just want to make money, don't do magic. That's a horrible idea. I really don't think it's worth it to do magic. And one of the interesting things, a lot of the people that you see who get into magic and they're doing it just for the money, they end up doing other things that aren't magic. So, for example, in the online realm, you see a lot of people who started out doing mostly magic. They're doing totally different stuff online now that might be more profitable for them. For example, prank videos. And you see a lot of these videos, and I see magicians upset about it and stuff, and I just laugh because it's like, why are you upset? What does this have to do with magic? It's like, and they're all doing the same pranks and all this stuff, and it's just funny to me because it's like, okay, like look, and if that's how you want to make money, great. I couldn't care less. Like, has nothing to do with me.
There's a market for anything, So they're just in a totally different set of goals. But I will
say, I think generally most people who get into magic to make money will move away from it because it's it is possible to make money doing magic, but if you are only in it for the money, you probably don't have the passion or the
Yes,
taste, which
agreed.
will lead you to do something totally different
Sure.
in the future.
I
So,
I agree. Yeah, completely. Yeah, I see it all the time. Okay. Um, Great. So, is there something that you have beside? Let's see. Oh yeah, are there any different techniques, like maker techniques, that you are interested in learning this year, perhaps at all? That you, because I know you do some graphic design stuff on your own. You do some.
the thing, so as I said, doing everything in this world is very expensive. One of the things I have been trying to learn and I've been making more is little videos. And so I have a camera, I have a little, stand set up, and just making little videos and figuring out how to do that properly, how to improve the quality. I'm learning about so now I'm shooting in RAW, I'm coloring all the footage, I'm editing everything together. I'm trying to get off the automatic functions on my camera. I'm trying to do everything, manually. I'm trying to really learn about it and slowly just improve, because it's like one of those things where if you want somebody to record a show for you, let's say you perform in the Magic Castle or Chicago Magic Lounge or one of these places, you want to record your show in those venues, you have to pay uh, the castle or these venues to record a show for you, and they have some sort of deal where you have to pay and do all this stuff. But realistically, if you want good footage for your show, you can do it almost by yourself, if you know how to edit. If you give somebody a camera, if you set up the cameras in the right place, if you give somebody a camera and you give them very simple directions, they can do a fairly good job where you can have usable footage. And with the direction that we're moving into with social media and the internet, and that's how magic is being prolificated into the world. I just think the better you off you are at being able to create these skills, create this kind of content with these skills, it's very useful for you.
Meta skills.
Yeah, and it goes to making a website, making a video, making a photograph. It's just all stuff that otherwise you would have to pay for,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and everybody who's, what's the cost of a photo shoot? You want to get new photos done.
It
Yeah, it
just
costs money.
depends on the photographer. It could be, you know,
It,
several $100s probably.
yeah,
Sometimes thousands of
well,
dollars depending on the shoot.
it could be, but the more skills you have, generally as a business owner, the better off you are. So that's something I've been learning, video, because I do see it as something whenever we are back to whatever normal is. I want to film all my shows. I don't think I'm going to release all my shows online, but I want to film everything. I want to have footage. So if I do have, a great 2 minutes or a 5 minute clip that I want to put online, I can do it. You know how
Sure.
many shows I've done that I have no footage of? Great shows, and it's just gone into the ether. It's in people's
It just
memory.
vaporizes. Yep. It's good to record those.
Yeah,
Really good. I get it. That's smart. I try to record as much as I can because and a lot of it ends up being just more of the same, but then you get these major moments and I always say to myself, I am so glad I got that on tape because I would really be kicking myself if I missed out on that one. So it is important to capture every moment, yes. Is there something that you've designed or created in the past that is like you would consider your favorite thing?
uh, I mean, my cards really. I'm a big fan of my cards. Uh, that's probably the thing I'm proud of in terms of creating something.
Let me ask you this: the whole the back design and the faces. Did you draw all that yourself?
Yeah, so the only thing, well, the court cards are based on a design from the Goodall playing card company, but I redrew all that, and that's a long, but most of the design is original to me, but there's clearly inspirations,
Sure.
different, playing card designs and stuff.
Got it. Got it. Right. Well, what I find even more inspiring, and I think people watching and listening will find inspiring. I mean, I know this because I'm a friend of yours and we've known each other for a while. But for those of you who haven't been paying attention to this video or are just listening to this podcast, I'll just put it out there in case you weren't aware. But Mahdi does not have any hands. To draw like your average, not normal, but your average person would with digits on their fingers. So what I just find lovely and inspirational is your whole life is all about creativity and innovation because you were forced into that situation, just being those were the cards that you were dealt, right? You talk about this, just, the cards that life deals you, and then you work around them. You create the impossible.
Yeah, and I have to say something, or it's going to bother me. I
Sure.
hate. One of the biggest. I don't know. I don't know where this comes from, but people have a worship in magic for this concept of creativity, and I I think it's extremely overrated. Um, I just think it's a bad philosophy. I don't think it's necessary to be creative in magic. I think people are better off just developing good taste and working hard. And I think you can do really classic stuff with traditional presentations and be an excellent and unique magician. I just find it a trap of people wanting to, it's sort of used as a keyword, like a catch phrase. This is a creative magician. This is, ultra creative person. And it's like, well, I don't know.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but at the same time, I don't know what you mean because I mean there are instances of people that are genuinely doing groundbreaking work. It's very small percentage.
They're very small amount of people doing that, but even them, I don't know if they're driven by creativity. I think it's just people want to have their own way of doing stuff. I think if you do have good taste, you want to do stuff in your own way
Mhm.
naturally, and that will come, whether it's a different presentation or a different method or even a totally different plot. I just don't know if it's. I know a lot of people who you would call creative.
Mhm.
I don't know if any of them would give themselves that label. I think it's just, I don't know. I think it's a very weird thing that people have bought into this idea of like creativity. And I just think it's very overrated. Honestly, I just think it's completely overrated.
Well, it's
Like people tell me, Maddie, you're a very creative person. No, I'm not. I'm really like,
it's it. I do agree with what you're saying in the sense that the people who are labeled creative oftentimes don't think of themselves that way. They just think of themselves probably as like practical doers in the sense that these people are creating out of
no,
necessity.
people just look like, let's say you have somebody who has a version of a routine, has a card routine. Maybe they use a new technique for it, or, they have a different way of getting through a phase. Let's say originally a routine would use some sort of a switch or something, and they have a totally different setup. It's probably because they looked at that routine. They're like, you know what? The traditional method has some problems with it. I
Right.
want to improve it. I don't think the goal is going into it, oh, I want to do this creatively. It's like, no, they have a different, I think in most cases they have a different goal, which is, I want this to be better. And then they just work on it. And I just, I don't know. I just find the idea of creativity being misunderstood and uh, oddly glorified, and I don't know. I just find there's weird stuff with that word. I just see you being used in weird ways, and like I don't know. Like
Okay. Okay.
maybe I don't make sense, but I don't know. I have weird feelings around that word.
Okay. 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 I don't know how else to phrase it. I would say then that you are okay. If you don't want to be labeled creative, I would label you as someone that's
No, I personally don't care. I just don't think it's true. Like if somebody told me, Maddie, you're very creative. No, I'm not. Like I just I, I figured out how to do a card move.
you're just
Like
good at doing you're doing your reading. You're reading all the time.
I just tried 1,000 ways that didn't work, and then there was one way that maybe worked, and then I just worked on it. Like creativity had very little to do with it. It had a lot to do with just failure and a mirror and
Well, I'm gonna look up the Webster definition of creativity just because you got me like on this thing. But I know what you're saying in the sense that, like, right, you could call Thomas Edison creative, but he said a very similar thing to what you said in the sense that no, I didn't fail. I just found out 1,000 ways how not to make a light bulb, you know, and because he just kept trying and trying and trying different things, and eventually he came on a solution.
I think I think if you just generally read a lot, you will
Which you
just
do.
know a lot, and you'll just be able to have ideas, and some of them will work. But the way that creativity is used, it's like you have a mind that is in floating in like a a like a bowl of water, and it's just alone, and the mind has these ideas that are totally disconnected, and it's just this mind inventing all these things and ideas and pathways. I don't know, like the way people talk about it, like they have a very weird idea of creativity.
That's
It,
interesting. That's
it,
interesting. There could be maybe this is a good argument just to reframe the concept of what creativity is, because basically what you're saying is people go through life, they have experiences, they read things, they see things in their life, and then
I
it's
think the question is, are you satisfied? Okay, you're doing a routine. Are you satisfied with the routine? Yes or no?
let's just say no, I'm not.
No. Okay, so what phase of the routine? The first phase, the second phase, the third phase?
First.
Okay, the first phase. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Oh, well, let me read and let me think about it. Like that, it has very little to do with creativity. It's mostly people just being dissatisfied with things and then thinking about it and trying different stuff and
Yeah.
then improving on it. Like I just find the idea of creative being like so weird. It's like the
Chris
way
Kenner.
people
Chris
talk
Kenner
about it.
thinks the same way. Kenner told me the same thing. He's just like, I hate it when people say I'm creative because it's just, it's it. I can
He's
understand.
probably not creative at all.
I can. Well, well, I don't know if he was talking about himself. I think he was talking about others that label themselves as creative. I want to make sure I get this right. If
I'm
he's,
joking. I'm
yeah,
joking. But the point is, it's like this weird, and it's weird when people use it for themselves. I'm a, this is one of the most creative minds in magic. What? Like, what does that mean? Like, I
I
don't know.
guess, I
Like
guess
it's just bizarre.
I guess it boils down to you're a very conceptual kind of guy, and you think about these things more than other people. Your average person has their own definition of creativity, which falls into everything that you just said. But if you really think about the meaning of the word, which you have more than others, you're right. If you really think about it, sometimes it just doesn't usually match up. We're
Look,
taking,
if you are going to hire somebody to paint a portrait of you, and it's going to be a beautiful poster, and it's you dressed up for a show, and it's a beautiful portrait, and it's like in a style of like a Max Malini portrait painting. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a creative artist? Or do you want a good artist? Do you want a good painter or you want a creative painter? You want a creative writer or you want a good writer to write your ad copy? Do you want a creative engineer to build the piping in your house, or you want a good engineer? I don't know. It just becomes like a comical thing to me where I think it becomes a synonym. Okay, I'll tell you this story. I'm not going to use a person's name. And then I shouldn't be telling this, but
Careful.
No, I'm gonna. So this is not a person story, but this is what was told to me. There was
asking for a friend kind of story.
There was somebody who's, they have this. They're known as a creative person in magic. They've come up with a lot of creative ideas, blah blah, and work on different TV shows and stuff like that. And they go to somebody's house, and the person has a poster of Keller on the wall. I believe it was Keller. And this creative genius in magic looks at the poster and he says, "Who's that?" And it's like, I don't know if we should be using creative for somebody who just doesn't know a lot, and then they have different ideas and they just throw it out there and some of the ideas work. I think if you're looking for that type of creativity, anybody could be creative, but I don't know. I'm not necessarily a fan of certain types of creativity.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm maybe old school.
That's okay. That's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their own viewpoint.
Anyways, so I just wanted to share that. I don't want to name anybody, but it was just like a story that I'm like, okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, got it. No, that's good. We have a wide variety of opinions and intelligent discussions. I'm not here to try to push any propaganda or change anybody's mind. I just bring on guests and
no, it's just I got caught on that word, and it obsesses me because sometimes I talk to my friends and we talk about this idea of creativity and they just hear me rant for hours and hours.
Got it. Well, I may have some editing to do in this video.
That's okay.
That's okay. So some of it, I'll include as much of it as I can.
Chris Kenner is one of the most creative people in magic.
I'll edit all the other stuff out and I'll leave that in. He'll be very happy about that.
I'm joking. No, but it's just so funny. Like, it's just such a funny way these words are being used, and how people who get called these things are like, "What? No, I'm not."
Interesting.
So,
that is interesting. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. So you've just expanded my mind.
Yeah.
You did it, man. Blew the box off, blew the lid off the box. That's what you do on a daily. That's how you live your life, basically.
But I will say there's some great creative people in magic. There's certain people who I love to see what they're doing. It's just like all new, cool, fun. I love it. I don't know if I want to. I think calling it creative is appropriate if it's creative.
Wow.
I don't know if that's their goal. I don't know. I have to really think about that word. Now I'm like, am I walking back here? Am I anti-creative? I don't know.
You're the.
Am I creationist? Am I an evolutionaryist in terms of
flat
magic?
Earth at this point?
I'm flat. I'm a flat magic.
You're just gonna walk off and just.
I've walked off the edge of magic.
You've walked off the edge of disaster, and you're just not turning back. That's okay, though.
I'm digging a hole in the flat Earth.
Yeah, eventually you're gonna fall through. That's okay. But we just had a breakthrough, maybe with Mahdi Gilbert. Maybe questioning his own beliefs. That
Yeah.
is almost
I think that's
impossible.
very important. I did a
Breakthrough.
podcast of, and the idea was, what is immoral and moral in magic? And it was talking about
It's a whole ethics
people
conversation there.
people who do mentalism and stuff like Uri Geller, and they present it as real,
Yeah.
and how that could potentially influences people's real life decisions and their real world thinking. Then I think about it, and I'm like, well, isn't all sort of magic the same? Somebody could see me do something, and I don't explicitly tell them. Yeah, I say, look, I believe in magic. I made the impossible come true in my own life, and and I'm doing card trick, whatever. How do I know that somebody doesn't go into the world and is influenced by that belief, whether that's positive, negative, or whether maybe somebody is mentally unstable and they actually have some sort of idea that you can really do real magic, even though you tell them that you can't. David Copperfield, I'm sure, gets letters every single day asking to do miracles. Same thing
Yes.
with David Blaine, same thing with all these people.
Yes.
And, I think as much as we can explain to people what it is that we're doing, I think there's always people who will have another idea. Houdini, when he performed, and he was debunking a lot of the stuff from the fraudulent mediums and fraudulent
Yes.
spiritualists. And guess what they thought? They thought that he was lying and that he really did have supernatural powers. You can look at the people who he was involved with, Arthur Conan Doyle and that circle, and they said, Houdini, we understand what you're saying, that people can cheat, but we really do think that you have a real power that you may not even be aware of. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, guys, well, I'm explaining to you I don't have any real powers, but you're telling me that you think that I do. Like, so I think it is okay to question yourself and not have the answer to everything, and to be able to be honest about that. I think that's just an important part of being human and being alive.
Yes. Yes. Questioning your beliefs is not a bad thing, as it can lead to self-discovery, and it can also get you out of shallow thinking, perhaps, maybe, depending on so many different factors. But anyway, that was we got really philosophical, but still, there's some really good things to think about in there. So, going back to the, I'm not going to say the C word because I don't want to get them triggered. But what would be? Do you do you have a thing that you are designing or making? Like just some kind of DIY thing you were working on?
Not DIY. I have. So I want to do.
But wait, I didn't finish the question.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So did you have like I'm going to cut this. So let's say that you were working on a project, perhaps one of your DIY projects, because you're just kind of like a do-it-yourself kind of guy anyway. You're self-reliant. You like to learn things and do things yourself. Is there any project in that regard that you've worked on and you would consider it like your biggest DIY fail of all time? That if you're okay with sharing that, because we always can learn from our failures, and of course you're smart. Not every failure. Well, failure in general isn't a bad thing. Especially if we learn from it. If we keep repeating.
I think in magic you just have ideas. You put something together. You do it on a stage or in a show, and you realize, wow, this is not. It doesn't have the impact that I thought it would have, and yeah, it's disappointing because you put a lot of work into it. You spent money, you made it look nice, but it's just doesn't. It just doesn't have. It's not what you wanted it to be. So yeah, that's happened to me. I think it's happened to everybody.
Is there a specific instance that you can recall?
Yeah, different tricks that I don't even have the props anymore. I just got rid of them because I'm like, oh, not going to use this ever again.
Simple as that.
It's just out of a practicality standpoint. If something is just not working the way you want it to work, yeah, it worked great in a book. You tried the idea functionally. You can get it to work, but you have doubts about it in a show, and maybe it causes you to fumble at a moment where you don't want to fumble, and it's just like, okay, this is not reliable. Let me get rid of this. I, I think, you know, either something works or it doesn't work. I think you can work on stuff, but sometimes when something's mechanical, uh, and you're having a technical difficulty that cannot be resolved with practice, you have to make a difficult decision sometimes.
Fix it or throw it out, right?
Yeah. But I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Well, that's something
Sometimes,
good to keep in mind as you're watching and listening to this. Having that mindset when things don't go your way, it's not the end of the world, unless you've promised to make the CEO appear and you can't, and you show up without being able to deliver that. But
yeah, if you try to wing that, then you're gonna be very
just kind of like hold up a curtain and you see him like walking back there, it's not gonna
you don't know
end
what you're
well.
doing. You have a trap in the floor, and the CEO falls through and breaks his head, and
Or get stuck halfway. How about that?
you not only get fired, but they call the police on you.
Yeah,
No.
that's just a whole other level of insanity that you don't want in your life.
Hey, but it's okay because he's creative.
Badoom. Wow. He just. This is gonna be like this is gonna be like a callback thing. This is good. I could tell this is, but I didn't say it. I didn't say the C word. Is there anything that you ever, and I have it here, created? I said the word created. Is there anything that you ever?
Creative. Just my own versions of things. I don't know if I've ever come up with a plot or
Well,
I
hold
have.
on. Let's redo that because the
Okay.
full the full question was. I apologize if I wasn't clear. Is there anything that you've ever created or come up with or brought to life by accident, and it just turned out to be amazing? That's the big picture there.
My child. No, I'm joking. I don't have,
Oh,
no, I'm
okay.
joking. I don't have any children.
Where is he? Never mind. All right. Somewhere in Toronto,
I'm
sleeping in
joking.
the gutter. Never
Let's
mind.
see.
Oops. I won't tell anybody. This is only going public on YouTube and Spotify, and
No,
your
Johnny,
child is listening.
I don't have any kids, so he doesn't.
He's out there.
He'll never hear this. He's not lying. I don't have any kids.
Okay. Because this is a
um,
Making Magic first. This is going in the headlines. This will be all over the Magic Cafe. This will be on the front page of YouTube. Mahdi Gilbert and his missing kids. Anyway,
the vanishing children. Um,
wait a minute. I didn't even know how bad that sounded. Okay, never mind. All right, context, folks. Context. Okay.
all right. Let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Have I ever created something by accident?
Or brought to life. Yeah.
I think, one of the things Babel says is when he makes a mistake, it's like falling down a hole. And when you're falling down a hole, what do? You grab out and you grab whatever you can. And I think this is what happens in magic. When we screw up or something doesn't go right in a performance, we have that moment of improvisation where we are trying to continue to create a magical conclusion. And it may not have anything to do with the initial effect that we had prepared.
Yeah.
But, like it happens.
You just
And
kind of work your way out of it, just in the moment.
so I do think there's great things that do come out of things like that, where you screw something up and you're just trying to recover, you're trying to push forward, and you actually get lucky, or maybe, something interesting happens, you have an interesting situation in the deck or whatever, and you can create a totally different effect, and then that will inspire you to go home and be like, oh, that was cool. Maybe I can, create a routine or a trick like this, or maybe I'll have an out, or
And has that happened specifically in your case? Is there anything?
yeah, all the time. I think all the time. Every single time I screw up, something usually good comes out of it nowadays, because I
Is
just
there
have
like a feature? I'm just curious if you're okay with sharing. Is there like a feature, effect, or performance piece that you do that came out of that grasping during an accidental moment? No? Or maybe...
No, I wouldn't say. Maybe a seed of an effect that leads to a phase, or that leads to a different presentation. I don't think the whole complex routine comes out of that, but I think, you know. So I'll give you a great example. I forget what routine I was doing. I messed up a routine, and you ask somebody, do you is your card red or black? And then they name a card, and you turn it over. Oh no, it's not your card. Oh no, but it was a red card, right? Oh yeah, it was red. Was it a diamond or a heart? Oh, it was a Oh, it was the same. It was a diamond, but it was a different value. Okay, and then you continue, and whatever. You try to continue the effect, and then now when I'm working on a version of Out of This World where it's very interesting. And I've
Out
been
of
playing
This
with it.
World, for those of you who don't know, I know Maddie knows all about it, but it's a shuffled deck. The effect is the spectator or somebody shuffles the deck, and then all of a sudden they start dealing, and they don't even know. They're either face down or sometimes face up, and they separate the cards out themselves. Face down, I think, and then you turn them over, and they've
Yeah.
completely
So
separated the cards.
I have a different version of doing that, but there's different moments of the routine where I play beyond the red and the black. Like I ask people, yeah, and I hold a single card, and I'll do it right now. I'm holding a card. Maybe this is not a good card for you. Should I switch it, or do you think you're going to get this card? I don't think you're going to get it.
Um, I don't know.
I don't think you're going to get it at all. But do you think it's a red or black?
You don't think I'm going to get it? I think
No,
it's a red.
I told you you're not going to get it. It's a black.
Okay.
No, but seriously, it is a black. Do you want me to take the next card? You have a better chance.
Um,
The next card could also be a black. I have no idea. But you're not going to get this card. It is a black card.
it's a black card, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me
You
to
want me
guess?
to do you want me to take another card, or you want me to keep this card and you can keep trying to guess what this card is? You have a bad start.
Okay. Take another one.
Take another one.
Sure.
If this was then this is a black card. Would you say that it's a number card or a court card?
It's a court card.
And it's a spade or club?
Club.
Club, and we have jack, queen, and king.
Jack.
Jack, close. It's a queen, queen of clubs. Okay.
Okay. Well, that was pretty good for not
Yeah,
setting anything up.
but it's interesting. But this time I did specifically take a red card for you because you did say red. And this time, do you want it to be a number or court card? Just whatever you feel. What you were feeling with the initial card. It was a
Yeah.
number card,
Yes, it was a number card.
and was it okay? Harder diamond. Do you want to say harder diamond? Let's not say harder diamond yet, but let's say, was it a medium, a high, or a low?
A low.
A low, and from that you have. Well, do you want ace to be a high or a low?
Ace to be a low.
Okay, so we have ace, 2, 3, and would you say a 4 is a medium or it's a low?
4 is just under the low side.
So it's a low or not?
Yes, low.
Okay, so you have ace, 2, 3, 4. What do you think? Just say something.
2.
2, and you have heart or diamond.
Diamond.
So close. 2 of hearts.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so I played this game with people with the Out of This World, and that all came from me screwing up a card trick, and then just
Screwing
playing
up a
it.
reveal.
No, screwing up a card trick and
Interesting.
seeing, you
Okay.
know, just. But the idea is like, okay, from there you can play with people's imagination, and look,
Totally.
you didn't get lucky. You got unlucky. So the first time I maybe helped you out a little bit, but you did a lot of the work and you didn't get the card, but you got close. The same time for the second one, you didn't get the card, but you got very close. And maybe I did help you a little because I said, now I'm taking a red card, but then the rest was you. Maybe I also suggested to you, now you want a number, right? Because I did feel that you wanted a number initially, but then because
Mm-hmm.
I gave you the choice in the first one of a number or a court card, you went for the court card,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So these are all games. I'm a very creative person.
You're so creative.
No, but the idea is, and then it's a game that we're playing with the out of this world plot, and it's so sometimes they see the card, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I look at it, sometimes they don't. But it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's a color, sometimes we try to go further,
Got it.
and so. But it is interesting, isn't it? You have a sensation of, wow, that is interesting. How did I get so close?
Right, and it makes it way more real to people.
And you almost chose hard, correct?
I did, yes. I was going to say hearts, and then I switched to
Chance of that
diamonds.
is very small. Let's say even though we would have eliminated the court cards and had the number cards, and you would have said red, you still have 20 choices.
I could have said hi.
Yeah, you could have said high, you could have said medium, you went with low. Anyway, so this idea of coming up with ideas based on things that don't work and playing
On
around with it.
accident, and then jazzing with that, and then just turning it into something
Yeah,
beautiful.
and it is fun for people and it's interesting. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah,
And the way that you can guide a conversation without it being controlled and also leaving their people their freedom and it's interesting. I think it's very interesting.
very cool. Yeah, that was a very cool interactive portion of the interview. That if people are watching the video here, I think they would appreciate it because we did not set anything up, and this was totally spur of the moment. And
If we
I'm
did, it would have been accurate 100%.
100%. The two of hearts? No way! Right. And yeah, and then I would have signed the release, and we would have gotten all that sealed up. Anyway, um, the non-disclosure. Is there any reason? Well, I guess just your life circumstances inspired you to be someone who is just a do-it-yourself kind of person. I hate to say creative again, but a maker or a doer. Is there anything that inspired you to be off on that tangent?
Um, I just think it's out of necessity. You have to you just have to work with what you can. And for me, but also I'm a big fan of magic. So there's a lot of magic I like, and I look at it and how could I do that? How could I do that as me? And so that's pretty much how I'm thinking about stuff. How could I do it where, oh, it's this is how Maddie does this routine. This is how Maddie would do this, and present it. So yeah, I just I want to just do stuff and for it to be from me.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. And are there any? I know you're a big reader, so on the topic of self-reliance and doing it yourself, if people want to get inspired to start thinking more in that mindset, are there any books or resources you would recommend on that
Um,
note?
I would say for people just to uh, pursue whatever you think could be of interest to you, and just learn about it, and I, I don't know if I would recommend anything specifically. I think everybody knows what they like. And I think just try to get away from what everybody else is doing. Just try to figure out, spend time alone. Um, spend time alone, figure out what you like and who
So you
you
wouldn't
are.
even recommend your own reads because you would say that that's
No,
your
I
own
would
personal.
say, yeah, get away from me, get away from everybody. And just think about who you are and who you want to be, and uh,
Mm, that's
what,
deep, man.
and just come from that place.
That's deep, but also very important because a lot of people, as we wrap this up, this is deep and very, yeah. A lot of people try to become someone else who they're not, and they try to go and model themselves after other people, right? And then they become an inauthentic version of themselves.
No, I would say spend time alone and really experiment and just you know learn from your experiences, and also use your imagination. I would say use your imagination. Try to come up with a definitive image in your mind of how you want what you want to do, how you want it to look like, and then film yourself, and you'll see a huge discrepancy. And then it's just working on making those two images closer to one another.
Hmm. So if you have an idea, try it. Do it, right? Don't let it just sit in the back of your mind for 20 years because
Yeah,
it's never going to be the same. Yeah.
I would say try it, and you know, look, I mean, it's your life, right? I mean, people can do whatever they want. You don't need permission from me or Shaun to tell you to do it. I mean, if you want to do it, do it. Nobody cares if you do it or don't do it. So, like, you can do it if you want, or you just want to sit and think about it for the rest of your life. You could also do that. No one will care.
That's
So
pretty
really,
true.
I think that's my final piece of advice. No matter what happens, nobody really cares. So just really do whatever you want to do and focus on living the life that you want to live, because no one cares at all about what you do.
That's such a great positive way to uplift the soul and the spirit.
Nobody cares if you make it. Nobody cares if you fail. If you want to do it,
Well,
just do
hopefully,
it.
hopefully your mom does. Hopefully your parents do.
No, your parents don't care. Look, nobody cares. No, I'm serious. Nobody cares. People will pretend that they care once you're successful. But if that matters to you, then become successful. But if you're doing it for yourself, then you will experience failures and you'll experience success, and you will learn a lot about everything. There's a great poem that Rene Levin used to say. He says, "I know about the kiss that's bought, and I know about the kiss that's given, and I know that having a lot of success and money makes people like you a lot more." And I just think that at the end of the day, you have to figure out what motivates you, and if that is money and success, then pursue that. It might make you happy. If it's something else like the art form and you have an internal vision, then pursue that. And really, nobody really cares, honestly. It does not matter to anybody. I could be working on a routine and nobody will care. I can show it to somebody, I can not show it to somebody, I can do a show, not do a show. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you make it or if you don't make it. So really, you have to care, and you have to carry that weight on yourself and have the courage to carry that weight on yourself and not be doing it for other people's ideas of you.
Right. Don't do it for anybody else. You do it for you.
Exactly.
You
Because
do it
nobody
for
cares.
you because you believe in it.
Exactly. But I do honestly say that nobody cares. Like, it sounds funny, and it sounds cruel maybe, but it's true.
Generally speaking, yeah, I mean, human nature is to be selfish. So that falls right in line with nobody really cares. Everybody cares pretty much about themselves.
If you have a business and it doesn't work out, guess what? Nobody cares. They'll say, "Hey, Shaun, are you still
nice.
doing, they haven't talked to you in 10 years. Hey, Shaun, are you still doing that? Are you still doing that car repair shop? You don't have a car repair shop. Are you still doing that? Oh, no, it didn't work out. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm doing this now. Oh, great. Nobody cares. Look, man, I'm just telling you the truth. Nobody cares. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just do whatever you want.
No, you're telling it like it is, and I appreciate it. And that was a realistic, straight to the point, no BS version of Mahdi Gilbert.
There's a guy in David Blaine's first Street Magic special, and he's home. I don't know if he's homeless, but he has a weird hat. An African American guy. And he says, I just came from the welfare office and I met this guy David, and I don't care if he makes $1 million or dies in a ditch. What he did is amazing. I don't care what happens, but he's amazing. It's just so funny because it's like, yeah, the guy, nobody cares. So do it. Go out into the world, get that success if you want it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's okay.
It's okay. So we'll just, I don't know if I hope people will care a little bit about this interview that we're doing, and I hope.
You should cut that clip in from the David Blaine show. It's in Street Magic. He's doing an invisible deck.
Okay. I will splice that in just to prove a point. That's perfect.
I don't care if this guy dies in a ditch or if he makes $1 million. He's amazing.
That's
I don't know who he is.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Wraps everything up, brings things home in full circle. And with that being said, Mahdi, where can we find more about you? Or if you have anything?
Yeah, you can find me, Mahdi the Magician, online. That's it. But thank you for this interview. It was a lot of fun.
The website do you have?
Yeah, MahdiTheMagician.com.
.com. Okay. .com. Well, I hope people will care enough to go visit the website. And
I don't care.
But you don't care. You just don't care.
Unless they book me, I don't need the clicks on my website.
Okay. Well, you heard it here on Making Magic. This has been a very deep, inspiring, comical at times, and very straight to the point kind of thing. So, Mahdi, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching another episode of Making Magic. And you know what to do. If you've enjoyed the content, if you're getting something out of this, feel free to subscribe to the channel below. Or if you're just listening to us talking on Spotify, feel free to follow the channel for more great, inspiring, thought-provoking interviews. So thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.